All right, this is the second video for the day. This one's separate because it took 10 minutes to get through the last one. So I had a thought. As it currently stands, gender dysphoria is classified as a mental illness. And the reason that the progressive left wants it to stay that way is that people who are considering transition or are dealing with gender dysphoria have the opportunity to become diagnosed and thereby receive healthcare provision through either insurance or government programs. And the thought occurred to me, why don't we make communism and socialism a certifiable mental illness so that these people can not work just like they want. They can get paid with free money from the government like they want. And that includes, of course, signing them up for all the government health care and everything else, Medicaid, Medicare, state aid, whatever. But there are other disabilities and mental illnesses for which you can be diagnosed, which then they say, yeah, you're clearly not going to be able to work, so we're going to give you provision to live, etc. But with a lot of these other ones, for example, oftentimes things like paranoid schizophrenia, a person who is diagnosed with this and gets onto their disability at that point abdicates things like their right to a driver's license or the right to bear arms because of having been judged mentally incompetent. So let's make communism and socialism a mental illness, certifiably. Make it a type of disability so that people can prove, right? I don't know, take an IQ test or ask them a bunch of questions about dumb things and watch how they answer. That these people will then get their per diem that they want, or their per month or whatever, right? That they get a check from the government, they get their public option health care, that they get eligibility for grants, etc., but that they cannot drive, cannot own firearms, and cannot vote. Problem effectively solved, right? And you can trust that with an enormous number of people, something like probably 10, 15, maybe even 20% of the population being permanently damaged by propaganda to the point that they consider themselves to be communists or socialists, would be enough of a burden on the system that the U.S. government would then start considering something like Canada's MAID program. Now, if you know anybody who is a socialist or claims to be, they will tell you that Canada's healthcare system is infinitely better than ours. It's socialized. Everybody pays a little bit, 35, 45% taxes. It's fine. Never mind the fact that there's, people coming back to America to privately pay cash for healthcare because they don't want to wait 6 years to go into the doctor for a checkup because they are so backlogged by their free public healthcare and underfunded because the taxes don't cut it, because free shit programs require inflation. But the Canadian government had an amazing idea. They said, let's put together a program where we can determine cost-benefit analysis of these services and provisions for these people, and then offer them an alternative option. Now, I know you want healthcare. I know you want your services and your entitlements. But have you perhaps considered medically assisted termination of your life as a cost-saving measure to promote the well-being of everyone else? Because after all, socialism and communism claim that the benefit of all is the point, right? So we certify them, we put them on disability. This prevents them from driving, from having guns, and from voting, right? So right there, you got idiots that think that they own the planet, no longer in traffic. That's cool. Commies without guns, That's good. That's really good, because we all know the only good kind of communist, which is why I'm talking about medically assisted intentional death. But also, because of this, unable to participate in the political dialogue as far as elections go. That because you have chosen communism and to live in this way, if the entire country was run by communism, you would not have a say in anything anyway, because that's the way communism works. So the people that want to live under communism, you sign them up for a program that allows them to live as if communism was in effect, such as prison sentences for disagreeing with anything the government says, no right to keep and bear arms, no First Amendment, right? Just get rid of all those rights. You abdicate those rights when you ask for your free stuff to be taken care of, right? Because ultimately, that's what happens anyways, that things get so bad and the government says, hey, we can help you guys. We'll make sure that everyone is provided for and taken care of. You just have to obey everything we want you to do and think and say. So first time somebody complains that they don't like the setup, you could lock them up for life or execute them for that matter. If their use of medical provision and insurance exceeds a certain amount of money per year, you can then offer them the alternative of medically assisted intentional death. And ultimately, what we come to is they can't talk to anybody about their idiotic communist or socialist bullshit. They can't start a revolution because they're not allowed to have guns. And they can't affect our political discourse. I mean, look at how difficult it is to get laws passed, to get like good candidates in office because of the amount of stupidity. Look at all these Democrats voting for Nikki Haley, the Republican. They went and changed party to Republican temporarily to try and vote in Nikki Haley to get Donald Trump out of the way. We don't need that kind of stupidity in this country. We can do without it. We'll do so much better without it. Trust me. So they don't get rights. They cannot revolt because they're not equipped to revolt. And the ones that manage to not open their mouth and get locked up eventually kind of exceed a threshold of spending from the government, at which point the government says, we're going to cut off your aid, but you can feel free to take this little pill. To me, this is a win-win situation. It is a win-win situation. Ultimately, eventually, all the communists become the best kind of communists, which is to say, the dead kind. Thank you for watching my TED Talk.